So we're going to be talking about customer service, and we're also going to be chatting a little bit about conflict management and how we manage conflict within the organization. So far we've been doing a lot of personal development. A lot of things about yourself and how you prepare yourself for your job, how you prepare yourself to go into the workspace, and we want to say that you are your first customer. You need to look after yourself first. And we say it all the time, we need to put on our masks first before we actually help other people. So we've been looking after the whole area, the mind, the body, the spirit, the emotions, giving you tools, and we've been working on various tools to develop ourselves and to be more effective as a person. So a lot of personal development has been going on for the last couple of weeks, and to kind of make you a lot more confident. So when you go in to your workspace, you're able to manage a little bit. So today we want to talk a little bit about customer service and um, customer service, as we see it, says, well, you are your first customer, so you need to look after yourself first. If you're not looking after yourself, you get up in the morning, you're grubby, you're feeling miserable, you had a big fight with your wife, you had a big fight with your better half, whatever, your relationship in a mess, your body in a mess, you ate some bad doubles last night from sauce, and and you go into the workspace, then you're really in a mess and you have no time. You have no time to really look after other persons. And suddenly, somebody walks in and they say the wrong thing and you're in a mess. So it's important for us to spend that time looking after ourselves. And we can't say it enough, because once you're ready, it's like a well-serviced car, a well-serviced vehicle, something, a well-serviced piece of machinery. And so a lot of times we spend a lot of times polishing and seeing about our cars, our vehicles, our stuff, our phones, and so, and we're not looking after this machine here. So it's important that we prepare ourselves first, so that when we get to work, when we get to any kind of issue that we have to deal with, that we are already ready physically to do it. So, get up in the morning, do something sweaty, get involved, look after yourself, and get to work prepared. You are your first customer. And the second, the internal customers, and this is where we're going to stay most of the morning. The internal customer, these are the people that we actually work with. And the internal customer, these are the people who their deliverables ensure that we can do our work. So if, for example, you're not getting their work done, if this person is not getting his work done, then you can't do your work. If you're not completing what you have to do, then the person can't do what they have to do. So the internal customer is the person who we work with directly. And so usually we have two internal customers. We have on both sides of the coin. So the people who report to you, they're the ones, their deliverables are important, because if they don't do their work, you can't function. And also you have to report to your senior person as well. And so the customers, the internal customers, are the people within the organization that work with each other, that help the company to function. So it's like a well-greased piece of machinery inside. And if the inside is not working, then the external cannot work. So I wanted to share, the internal customer is that person. And then, of course, after that, we have the external customer. External customer, sorry, the external customers are the ones who are outside, and who, you know, um, uh, once we are ready and we are inside, we then can go to the external customers. So we're looking at three circles of customers. First, we have to after ourselves. Then we have to look after the internal customers, who are the people that we actually work with. And then we have to look at the external customer, the person on the outside. So it's important that the entire area, that the entire thing works properly. And because you can get the repercussions. So I'll tell you a little incident that happened to me this weekend. So after work on Friday, Coach and myself went to get some pizzas from one of the pizza shops. I won't call the pizza shop's name. And we went to get some pizza. So we said, well, we're not going to go for delivery. We're on the road. Let's just pass and pick up some pizza for ourselves and the children. And we stopped there. We went in. The sun was hot. I was in the car. I stayed in the car and we waited and waited and waited for like about 25 minutes. Finally, they brought out the pizzas. And Coach came to the car and told me, well, we bought two pizzas, but one pizza is bad. It has a big hole in the middle. So they're telling us to either wait for them to redo the order, or this is one of the top pizza shops in this country I'm talking about it, or we can get a refund. So at this stage, I'm totally fed up. I said, no, give us a refund, give us a refund. We can't wait. So we went home with one pizza. And of course, at this time, we had to supplement in dinner. So we had to pass in Massey stores, buy some other stuff, and get home. When we got home and we opened the pizza had a huge hole in the middle. The entire middle of the pizza was missing. So I got very upset. And because we do customer service, and because I always like these challenges to see how companies react, I called, and only for that reason, I called the pizza company and I said, this is ridiculous. You sent me a pizza with a big hole in the middle. And the girl said, the attendant answering, she says, oh yes, we know that. And we gave you that pizza and the good pizza is still here. Whenever you're ready, you can come for it. So I said, absolutely not. I am not getting back on the road on a Friday evening to come up by your pizza shop for that. You will have to send it to me. Stutter. Okay, all right. The delivery person was called. So the delivery guy calls me, poor fellow. So he's now the internal customer. So this is internal customers happening here now. So the delivery guy calls me and he says, I have your pizza for you and you have $10 for me when I arrive because you'll have to pay for your delivery. And I exploded on him. And I said, absolutely not. I am not paying any $10. You all have messed up and I really let the poor guy have it. So afterwards, the first person, about 10 minutes after, she called back and she said, we want to tell you that was a mistake. He was not aware of what was happening, and so that's why he told you that, but you won't have to pay anything when he gets there. So poor fellow, he came up the road and he came up with his little car and he dropped off the pizza and I went out. I was very nice to him. And I said, I am so sorry that you are the one who had to take the blows for that. I'm really sorry for that. I am going to give you the tip, the $10, but it is a tip for you. It is not for this pizza company. Please, this is not the service they gave me. This is for you because you were thrown under the bus and you had to take the blow from the customer. Okay, what do you all think of that? Besides me being the bitch.
Communication between the internal customer and the external customer.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was right here is where all this stuff happened. So somebody in here messed up, right? Somebody in here messed up, and at first they thought, well, they could have gotten away with it, so they never tried contacting us, to begin with, and they never tried contacting us because you call in your order. First of all, so they probably first of all thought they could have gotten away with it. When I called, again, of course, the driver gets paid. So again, this other person here thought, well, if the driver could tell her if she will pay for her pizza, then we will again get away with it here. And the driver, so he is the one here on the border, he is the one who is going to be face to face, the frontline person with me. And he's the one who takes the blow from the customer because to cover the errors that are going on here, the person who's on the front line, he had to actually take the blow from the customer at that point, and and so that shows us, the importance. So the external customer, the only dealing I had with, so the only face-to-face contact I had was with this poor little, this poor driver. Well, I was very nice to him afterwards, and so and he understood. But sometimes I like to do that to just kind of push to see how trained they are. It's just one of the hazards of my job. But what happened here was the internal customers, obviously, they were prepared to put this young man under the bus. Poor fella. You ask her, you tell her she has $10 for you. When you go up there, she has to pay. She has to pay, and the poor fella, he didn't realize all these situations that was happening, the bad pizza that was inside, and they told me, and you can keep the bad pizza. And I said, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate having the bad pizza here as well. Okay, so let me just turn off my volume so I can tell Coach is speaking very loud. Yeah. Okay, so when we talk about the internal customer service, the importance of that, a lot of times when you find persons, when a customer finds that a very grumpy, sour person is out here, it's usually because inside here there's a lot of toxic behavior, a lot of toxic relationships are happening here. The supervisor and the staff are in a mess. The supervisors and the management, and so they can't take it out on the boss. They can't take it out on each other, or some people are just set up and they set you up, and when you hit the external customer, you get it. And this happens over and over and over again all the time. I've seen in a company that we work with as well. They said this guy is a car company, and they said, he told on the phone, he told his customer, well, yeah, you can come for it on Friday morning. Yes, of course, we would have done it by then, and it'll be fine. And so he goes and he sees the customer parking up in the car park. He goes in the back office and he says, tell him I'm not there. So the customer walks in and they said, well, he's not here. And of course, this person on the front line who told the customer that he's not there gets a severe trashing. And so while this person hides in the back here, and then of course this person takes the licks. And a lot of times the person on the front line takes the licks because of all that's happening within. So it's important that we look after the internal customer, and it's important that we manage relationships. And from all the years and years and years that Coach and I have been training, we have realized that if the internal customer service is working smoothly, if there is a nice vibe happening within the organization, then you find the external customer benefits and the external customer, because if there's a problem, you feel safe enough to go in, you feel safe enough to ask your partner, and as we talked about in team building, and so you feel that safety that you can in fact do it. So it's important that we manage the internal customer service. So we want to talk just a little bit, just a little one-on-one about what customer service is like in Trinidad. So what is the average standard of customer service in Trinidad, you would think? Is it great?
By no means great.
It's challenging at best. Yeah. And we find all kinds of things. And I'm sure everyone, any Saturday morning that you put on your little Saturday morning clothes and you get out there and you come back in the evening, you could tell a story about some kind of tragic customer service. I always tell Coach, we should be rich, we should be wealthy, because of the customer service in this country and doing the training for it. Yeah, but the customer service, the standard of customer service in Trinidad has always been, because we have never really been a country that depended on customer service. And even now with the pandemic and the whole lockdown of the borders and so, and we're, it's because as well that, you see Barbados, you see St. Vincent and the other islands, they have been struggling to keep their borders open because they depend on tourism. And they have a tourist culture where they have been always, they've always had to cater to the tourists, to be nice to people coming in and so. And whereas we've always had oil money, and our tourism has been more like business tourists, people coming in to do business and so, and wanting just a Friday evening after work lime or something before they fly out and so, which is a kind of standard service that we have here. So we've never really grown up in this country with a customer service culture, whereas we find in the other islands, in future Barbados, and the other islands, they depend on their tourists. They depend on tourism. And, which is why like Tobago right now is struggling so much, because Tobago now has to cater to the Trinidad tourist. And, well, we know where that is, what that is like. So the standard of customer service in Trinidad, we've never really had a customer service culture in Trinidad. So we like to say that there are three kinds of service experience. Three kinds of service experience. The first one is the tourist experience. And the tourist experience is while, your boss's father comes in, or, somebody, or, who's that out there? That's Mr. So-and-so minister, or that is Mr. So-and-so, and you recognize somebody who comes in, or this person looks like somebody important, and suddenly you don't need any customer service training. You know exactly what to do, you know exactly how to do it. And so, and you're totally, yes, ma'am, whatever, you're putting it in the car for them, everything, you might even wipe their glasses for them, whatever, just fantastic service happens in the tourist experience. The next one is the friend experience, and this one we specialize in Trinidad. The friend experience is, we have it down pat. And we see it in all the different businesses. It's happening, you line up in the bank, or you line up by TSTT, and you say, I have a partner working here, hold on. And you're looking up and you see the partner, and you look the partner like that, and the partner give you a little sign, and then suddenly you hear your name called, you break the line. And the interesting thing is that everybody else gets vexed and everybody starts to grumble, but if they knew somebody in the line, they would also do the same thing. The tourist, the friend experience. Yeah, come up the road, we'll organize you. Don't worry. Don't come today because we're getting fresh meats tomorrow. Don't come today. I'm telling you. Yeah, and when you come, you check it out, and and we know exactly how to ensure that the friend gets the best experience, and that's fantastic. The tourist experience is fantastic because that's the kind of service that we want to happen. The friend experience, who can blame us for that? You can't stop that. You see a partner, you see somebody, your cousin, tanty, come or whatever, or your girlfriend, father, or whatever. We can't stop that. And it is fantastic that the person is getting good service. And then, of course, there is a third kind of service, which we know very well as well, and that's the resident service. Resident service. Because you don't know, it's not somebody important, it's not somebody who you recognize, it's not somebody who will report to the boss, it's not your friend, it's not your family, it's not anybody. So you know what? It's the rest of them. So you just kind of go through, and they get whatever. No, we don't have. No, I don't know when it's expected. No, and you start off the conversation with your head shaking. No, no, and so, and give them a buffer as they as it happens. And it's a kind of resident service, like, and I'm not going to tell you where in Maraval I went and got this service, but you walk in, they take your temperature and tell you, write your name there. um uh, you know um yeah, and without hello or anything, take your temperature, write your name there. So with no kind of no kind of welcoming, just another resident kind of person, and understanding that service. So these are the kinds of service that we say that we have in this country. Do you all agree with me? What do you think?
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is, yeah, it is, and we know the three kinds of service. So we also have these three different types of service in the internal customer as well. The tourist service, when it's somebody important, somebody who you think have a say in the organization. We have that. We have the friend service in the internal customer as well, where when we know our friend is working there, somebody we really get along with, our ride or die, a member of our little circle, and so they get good service too. And then the rest of them, look at the time for me to leave, now it's tomorrow work, you have to wait, whatever. And so the very three kinds of service that we give to the external customer, if we look at it in the internal customer, we do the same thing. There are people that we will never tell no to if they ask us because of who they are. And then our friends, your real horse, and he's there, and yeah, he can depend on you. You will even work his shift for him. You're covering for him. You're doing everything, and you're looking after him. And then the rest of them, you know what? I have to survive this organization. I have things to do, and I have to get out of here. And you're given the same rest of them service inside as well. So a lot of times we like to look, and a lot of times when we share and we think through situations, we like to think outside of ourselves. But I want us to look inside ourselves, and think, do we give resident service to our co-workers as well, to the people who report to us, to the people who are our peers? Do we also give resident service there? That this is how much, they're not paying me to do that. And you might be right, but would you treat another person the same way? And is that affecting, and it's just something for us to think about as well. Is that how it's happening? Is that how the state of play in the internal service here as well, in the internal customer service, that resident service is a part. And we have to understand that, and this is something I think that, as a country, and this is one of the things that I think as a country we have to think about, because service is not a privilege. Service is not a privilege in a civilized society. It is a legitimate expectation, So it's not because I like your face. And sometimes you get that impression. You go into some place, and this person, because I choose to give you good service, and I don't choose to give you good service. And in the internal customer, same thing, I I am going to jam you. And sometimes we don't know why we're doing it as well. And sometimes, it's some kind of psychological dysfunctional behavior that's happening within us that we haven't sat down and tried to work out as well. Why am I being such a bee with this person? And why am I not treating this person? And sometimes it's kind of some way, way, way back in the recesses of your mind. Why is this happening? And a lot of it is self-introspection, not looking after ourselves as well, And service is a legitimate expectation. People, in a civilized society, service is just a legitimate expectation. So are you all with me so far? Or yeah, am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Any comments thus far?
No. Yeah, yeah. It's important to represent the business.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So I want to change a little bit, to switch a little bit to context, and we're looking at context now. Where are we now in Trinidad and Tobago, and I guess in the world? Where are we now um, uh, as regards our situation. And it's important always when you think of situations, when you think of training, you have to train in context, and we have to look at the situation, we have to look at the background. You probably learned this in primary school when you were doing common entrance SEA or whatever they now call it. And so the who, what, when, why, where, how, and of what matters. So we're going to look a little bit about context. What is happening right now in the world? Where are we right now as a country? So what are some of the challenges that our people at work are facing? And here I do want us, we're not outside anymore, we're in the organization. So we are actually inside the organization right now. We're inside Malabar Farms right now. And we're not thinking of the external customers, we're thinking about the people we work with, including ourselves. What are some of the challenges that we are facing right now? So the sudden shift in work culture took an overall um, sh- toll on people's health and well-being. There's stress, there's anxiety, and there's other mental issues happening. And a lot of it is happening. There's a lot. People are at home. It is a frightening thing sometimes. When is this going to end? People have all kinds of situations that they're feeling. They're feeling managing remote work. The transition to remote work culture is not as seamless as it seems. And well, we are fortunate that some days we work in the office, many days I work from home as well. And a lot of our team work from home as well. And it's not as difficult, it's not as seamless as it seems. And even for our children, a lot of us have children that we are now leaving at home to study. I left our two little granddaughters this morning, and they're both at convent. And it's so sad because they're both in these big fat sweaters, and they're sitting down and they're just covered up in a blanket in the bed on their laptops looking droopy and like, oh God, we had enough of this life. We can't believe this is happening, and whereas they should be nice and scrubbed faces in school, making mischief, getting sweaty, getting, being eating red mango with their friends and gossiping or something. That's what, as I told them, I said, talking about their latest crush or whatever it is teenage girls are doing now or so. And instead they're there and they're covered up and they're online, and it's going through Spanish class, and it's going to be followed by French class, and it's going to be followed by chemistry, and it's just like on and on. And I'm hearing the poor teachers. And this morning I was in the room with my little granddaughter, and I'm hearing her teacher. The teacher, I could just, as a trainer and as a teacher myself, I could just hear the teacher trying to perk them up and talking and kind of singing in her voice and trying to keep them. And the response is, yes, miss, and it's hard. It's a difficult, it's the well-being, the mental health is difficult. And then and this one I'm sure affects you, the lack of agility. It is critical to respond fast and move quickly, but so many approvals need to be taken. So many things that used to be this way are now no longer this way. And in so many organizations, in so many businesses, um, uh, how do we now change to doing things differently? And we have to get all these approvals. You yourself, your deliveries, your this. And so how do you now get your approvals to take action before? And it's a crisis that we don't have an answer for because we've never faced it. And the amount of uncertainty can paralyze people. And I think this is one that so many of us are suffering from. You know, the daunting feeling of not knowing what the future holds, or what will sustain the organization. What is going to sustain Malabar Farms? Where are we? Are we going to make it to the end of this? And at the back of all of our minds in every business in Trinidad is that, are we going to make it to the end of this? And the uncertainty can paralyze us. Am I going to continue? Is something going to happen that will challenge whether or not I keep my job or not? And we look at everything that's happening. And, a lot of businesses, we work with a lot of businesses, and a lot of them are saying, if this goes to the end of the year, we don't know if we can stay open. And then the team, the staff hearing this, and what is going to happen to us? What is going to happen to us, as you know, if anything happens with this organization? And that is always there, and that uncertainty can paralyze us, and this is what we are all facing outside there. And and we can hope, but it stays there. And how long can our business sustain this? How long before we people begin to follow and go home? And it stays there, and it is something that affects our mental health. The internal communication is also compromised. Keeping everybody on the same page. The whole remote working, the systems are changing. There's no routine. The routine is different. The workflow changes. The whole way people are behaving changes. And the challenges are real, and they're new challenges, and they're challenges that we have not faced before at all. There is no formula that we can put that will work, because we don't know for sure what is going to happen. And we have to, we have that, we live in that liminal space. And there's starting to be a kind of permanence about this liminal space, which is another kind of thing. So yeah, we're going from one reality to the next, but it seems like we're just swinging in this reality for so long, and people are cracking, people are breaking, and people are just saying, I can't take it anymore. And a new kind of depression, another wave of depression is starting to happen. And people come on and they have one face, yes, and they look like they're together, but it really is affecting, and it's affecting the internal customers, and it's affecting, and always at the back of people's mind, they worry about that. Can you see that happening with your organization? Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when we look at the customer service challenges we face, the new normal we're looking at, we wear masks, we have to wash our hands, we have to maintain physical distance, we have to practice healthy lifestyles. And this is like the new normal. The best thing about training remotely is that I don't have to wear a mask, um, is absolutely the best thing that's happening. But understanding that these are some of the challenges we're facing outside there, and customer service, in times of crisis is very important, because companies are struggling to provide service, as business policies remain fluid and everything. They're struggling right now, and we talked a lot about this before. The issue of our customers reaching out to us have changed. The people don't have money. They're asking for deferrals of payments. Customers are no longer working. And we need to be able to balance this. And this is what your team, your frontline team faces, and you face as well. And these are some of the challenges that the internal customers, the people on the inside are facing. How do we now deal with balancing the critical issues while being empathetic and preserving the revenue outside, and yet managing relationships? And so the point is that we're going to have to take a fresh look at this. And whereas before we could have put down the rule, this is the law, this is the way the company does it, this is what we believe. Now we have to listen again with a different perspective, with a different kind of air, because the customer is not just paying because they don't want to pay. The customer is not paying because there is a big problem. The customer is not asking for deferrals or so because of any reason, but the whole world is in that pandemic, and if the company is to survive, the company needs to look after that. People are being furloughed, and everything is just becoming very different. And also the safety of everybody, which is probably um, the biggest area that we have to face. How how are we staying safe? Research shows that customers choose to buy from socially responsible brands, most of all. And how do we stay there? How do we stay as a responsible brand? How do we maintain the name of Malabar Farms and maintain the service, maintain the internal energy of that's happening there without it affecting us and living in that kind of space that we talked about where things are changing so much, but we have to continue to trust. So that's the big thing. So it causes a lot of conflict. So we're going to switch a little bit to conflict management within the internal customer. Uh, is it too much for you in one bite? Am I going too fast? Hmm? Do you want me to stop a little bit and talk for us to talk about it? Do you have any of these issues happening? I can stop. Uh,